What's up, everyone? My name is Seth Lindeman, PDGA number 166064. I wanted to do a in the bag video for the end of the 2023 season, show you what I was rocking with for all of 2023. A little bit about me: I'm sponsored by Prodigy. This is my second year with them. Beginning of 2022 is when I started, so most of the discs in here have been with me for both years, some brand new. So I'm excited to show you what I'm working with. Starting with the putters, just like every Prodigy thrower, 300 PA3s. I've had these both seasons. They're very worn in now. PA3s normally have like a little tail on the end. These are super straight now, and I only use them for putting. But they've been great. Love these. I've always been a beadless putter guy, but the PA3 has kind of changed my opinion of that. They're fantastic. Also have some 300 soft PA3s. I use these for approach shots only, and I guess sometimes in the winter if it's a little cold, just because they're a little gummier, I'll sometimes putt with these, but normally I'm just using them for forehand straight approaches, turnover forehands, occasionally backhand off the tee. Anything that I don't want an approach overstable disc for, I'm reaching for these. 300 A1. This one's been in my bag a while. It's very warped now. There you go. Very warped now. And for some reason, this one is, I haven't had the confidence with it lately. It's actually been out of the bag for a little bit of time now, because for some reason when I throw forehand, it slips out early. Don't know why, but have not had it in the bag for a while. I don't see myself putting it back in the bag, but I wanted to include it because it was part of the majority of my 2023 season. This is getting into my A2s. I love the A2s. If you watched I had a short on it about the A2. I had never thrown them before joining Prodigy, and now I stand by them as probably the best approach disc on the market. I love the A2. They're phenomenal. If you're learning forehand, upshot, trying to develop an approach game, I'd recommend starting with these. But I've got 4 in my bag. I have a lot more, but in my bag I usually carry 4.
This one being the most overstable.
This disc is so beefy. Might be the most overstable putter or maybe disc I've ever thrown. Use it mostly for backhand flexes, which I don't throw that very often, but more so forehand skip shots. Very beefy disc. This black one is a 500, and it's probably more of your typical run-of-the-mill approach disc, zone, pig. I use this, I'd say, the most of all of them, especially for forehand approaches. And then I have 2 softs. This white one is a little bit newer, has a little more fade on the end. This purple one actually will flip a little bit, and it's actually getting to the point where it sadly may be coming out of my bag. It's been in for both the years, 2 full years with it, and it's flippy now. It'll turn over and sometimes not come back, which I have a use for that, but it's getting to the point where it's almost a little too flippy and unpredictable. So this one has been getting a little more use than the purple one as of late. Moving on to mid-ranges. I normally only carry 1 mid-range in the bag, and it's this one right here, the 400 MX3. Phenomenal disc. It is, the best way I can put it is the most overstable a super straight disc can be. This is it. I've thrown Makos, Wombats, those very straight mids that don't deviate left to right much at all. This is like the most overstable range of that. It doesn't fade at all. It doesn't turn at all. It's very, very predictable, but it is a slower mid. It says 5402, but I mean, it's one of the slowest mids I've ever thrown. It's probably truer to a putter. Doesn't really go anywhere, but it's got a little bit of glide. I shouldn't say it doesn't go anywhere, but it doesn't go very far for a mid. And but it's just crazy straight, almost no matter the wind or the elevation. Very straight. Love this. Love the MX3. Give it a try if you get the chance. The MX1 was in my bag for a little bit of the season. Hasn't been as of late. This is very comparable to a Justice, if you've thrown that before. And it overlaps a little bit with the A2s. So that's part of the reason why it hasn't been in much, because I love the A2s. They're not going anywhere. so it may have a place down the road, but I do like it. It's a fun disc to throw. This is a disc that I just put in like a week ago. I've thrown it a handful of times. It's the Isaac Robinson Archive, and it fits right in between that MX1, MX3. And as of right now, I'm liking it a lot. It'll be in my bag moving forward, just because I was kind of missing something in that slot. So liking it as of now. We'll see how it goes. This is in the 400 plastic, and it's beadless mid, which I'm kind of leaning more towards those nowadays. Ever since my finger injury, I have to like hold my finger on top, which for some reason, like the more shallower discs seem more comfortable than ever. This is a 500 M4 with a team stamp on it, and this is also relatively new to the bag. I've messed with M4s a lot in the past, and they've all been a little too flippy for my liking, and this one is the most stable M4 I've thrown. It's still flippy, so we'll see if it stays in the bag for next year. Moving on to fairways, this is one spot of my bag that is kind of always changing, with exception to these two, which I'll get into. But this is a 500 FX2, and in all honesty, I'm not the biggest fan of the FX2. I don't really like it. I'm not sure what it is really. It's the feel, but I can't describe what it is about the feel that I don't like. I'm not crazy about it, but it's in the bag because the F1, which is my next disc, the F1s are not very overstable. This was actually the most overstable one I'd ever thrown, and now it's 2 years old, so it's straight. So I had to put an FX2 in, something overstable in front of it. But this disc is great. It's been in my bag 2 years. I love it. One of the better fairways I've thrown. And I have another F1 here in 500, which has always been straight, but that red one is still a little bit more overstable. They complement each other well. And lastly, I have a 400 F3 with that Street Team stamp. I used to throw the F5 quite a bit, and I actually had a purple one that it didn't have the Street Team stamp, but it looked just like this and felt just like it. It was a 400 F5 that I lost, unfortunately, a while back, but I got this from my Street Team package this year. I've only had it a year, and it was a perfect replacement for it. So very happy to get this disc. Like I said, I used to throw at the F5, and I actually have another one. I think this is it right here. Yeah, this is my backup for it. It has a cool die on it. They fly about the same. So with the hybrids, I think the hybrid slot is probably the most. It's very underrated in the Prodigy lineup. I love Prodigy's hybrids, starting with the H1. This one's 500 H1, the most overstable I've got here, but I've had it for a little over a year. So I actually have a brand new 750 H1 over there that might be taking its spot soon. This will probably stay in the bag, but just put a fresh one in above it. But this has been a great disc. It's very flat. Love it for forehand and backhand. This is a 400 H1, and it's really gummy. This is the plastic. Sometimes when you get a 400 disc, it'll be opaque and it's a little stiffer, but this like really gummy see-through 400 plastic I love. It's so good, and I have quite a few discs actually in this kind of plastic. But a quick story about this disc. I had a tournament played, and I got this disc maybe like 5 days before, and I hadn't even taken it to the field really. I've thrown it in the practice round for this tournament, and that was it. And hole 17 and 18 of this course, I was practicing with this disc on it's like a 300-foot flare skip, needs to move left kind of shot. So I throw it backhand flare skip, and it was almost the same thing on both holes. So I threw this. It's a 2-round tournament, so 4 holes total. Threw this on all 4 holes, and it got me -5 score. There's some marking here on the back because I aced on the second round, hole 18. It flare skipped off a concrete monument and skipped right in. And it might have been a little bit of luck saying it flare skipped off a concrete monument, but it was my play to flare skip at least. There was just a concrete monument right in the middle, and I got lucky off the skip. But that's been an awesome disc. Hasn't come out of my bag since I put it in. This is, I think, the most underrated disc in Prodigy's lineup, maybe in all of disc golf. Got 2 of them. I actually have 4, but these are my 2 in the bag. The F Model OS. If you haven't tried them before, they're phenomenal. They're not beefy overstable like the numbers would suggest. There's a 2 stability on it, but they are maybe like an Onyx from Discraft might be the closest thing. But I think they feel great. They're very flat. They feel almost like that flat top Firebird that you would like to forehand. Feel just like it, but they go straighter. They go further for sure. This one's on the flippier side though. I've had it for 2 years in the Duraflex Glow. This purple one a little more stable and ProFlex. One of my favorite discs in Prodigy's lineup. Give it a try if you get the chance. On to distance drivers. Another spot that's kind of changing, but I've got some staples that don't really move anywhere. We'll start with the most overstable, which is a strange one. This is a Falcor Drew Gibson stamped Falcor. I have a brand new one here that you can probably see a little better. And for some reason, I know the Falcors are flippy, and for some reason this Drew Gibson stamped run is not. They are extremely overstable, and I mean extremely overstable. I'm used to throwing like Z-Flex Nuke OS's, Calvin Destroyers, and these fit right in with it. They are super overstable. I use it for forehand, backhand flare skips. And this one I've had for 2 years. I've had them both for 2 years, but this one just hasn't come out because it really hasn't seasoned in that much. But over the course of 2 years, it has straightened up a little bit. So right now I think it's in the sweet spot. And I've been using it a lot. I use that disc quite a bit. Anytime I need a skip shot around a corner, that's probably what I'm using. This disc has come in and out. It's an X2. And I was actually experimenting a lot with X2s. You can see this whole section right here, actually all the way to this one. What is that, like 10 discs there? Those are all X2s, including this one. And I actually even have a couple more somewhere. Oh, never mind. No, they're right there. Yeah, I've been experimenting with the X2s. They come in and out. They're really not that stable. If you're not familiar with Prodigy, the lower the number, the more overstable it's supposed to be. So there used to be an X1, doesn't exist anymore. So the X2 is now technically the most overstable of that line. And they're just really not that overstable. They're dependable. They're straight, but they're not overstable by any means. So they've kind of been my crushers in the bag. This is actually another one. And this one's straighter than the red one in the 500 Spectrum. I lean on this one a little bit more, unless it's a crazy headwind. I use the red one. Getting into the D2s, which I love, got a lot of them. This is a Thomas Gilbert 400G D2 and is my most overstable D2. I use it backhand and forehand, but I wouldn't say a whole lot. This next one here, which is a 400G, I probably use the most of any of them. And this is actually the only disc that I owned, the only Prodigy disc I owned before joining Prodigy, was this disc right here. So longest tenured disc in my bag, and maybe my most used distance driver. I like this disc a lot. And it's that 400G plastic. When it sits around for a week, you probably know what I'm talking about if you've seen one or had one, and it gets super chalky. I have a bunch of them. I wish I should have kept one on hand. Yeah, there you go. See like how chalky that is? This is that same, this is 400 plastic, but 400G gets like that too. One of my favorite things about the 400 plastic with Prodigy, when it's got that nice chalky feel, and this one I actually just cleaned, so it doesn't have it, but love this plastic. It's awesome. But this probably my most used distance driver in my bag. And these are my 2 bombers, kind of interchangeable. This is actually a Cat D1, but it doesn't fly like a D1 at all. It bombs. And this Lime D2, I would say I used more than this one through this year, but it's getting so beat up and chipped up and really flippy now. So this Cat D1, I have an exact replica of this over there if I need to bring it in, but this one will probably get more use going into next year. Use these predominantly backhand, so if I need a hyzer flip forehand, I will use these. And this is my bag I've been rocking for majority of the 2023 season, probably halfway in. I've had it 6 months or so. It's a BP1 B4, and it's pretty cool because it's a limited one of one. You may have seen the like Will Schustrick, Kevin Jones, where they've got their outline and bordering right there, and this one doesn't have that. I think Kevin Jones is the purple, Will Schustrick's orange. I may have that backwards, but this is just a black and yellow, pretty cool BP1. I actually just ordered a normal BP1, and this is what they sent me, so I was pleased to get it. Been liking it. It's a great bag. I have a normal black and white BP1 over there, so but this is what I use the majority of the year. Love this bag. That's it for my in the bag. I'll have more videos coming out soon, so stay tuned for those. Thanks for tuning in.